What if I told you that the borders of your garden could be built from nothing but trash? Tires, stones, bottles, items most people throw away, can become the foundation of something magical. In this video, you'll see 12 DIY upcycling ideas that will turn any backyard into a fairy garden wonderland. Welcome to ModHaus DIY, where creativity meets sustainability. Today's video, inspired by From Rust to Radiance, 25 backyard garden transformations that turn trash into timeless summer art, is all about transforming ordinary materials into fairy garden borders you'll wish you tried sooner. This video includes timestamps. Feel free to skip ahead to the project that inspires you most. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. And if you enjoy this content, recreate it with your own creativity and make the most of what you already have. Maybe to you, this is just another DIY video, but behind it is a real story and a small family with a dream. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you subscribe, you're not just helping a channel, you're helping keep a dream alive. Thank you for watching, and thank you for seeing us. In the quiet corner of a small backyard, something magical begins to take shape. An old tire, once destined for the trash heap, now rests beneath the open sky, reborn as a fairy throne. The paintbrush glides over its surface, spreading lavender and mint across the black rubber, turning waste into wonder. When the paint dries, wooden arms, smooth, sanded, and reclaimed from leftover fence posts, are bolted onto the sides. Suddenly, a seat appears where none existed, sturdy enough to last through seasons of rain and sun. Children wander into the garden, their eyes wide at the sight. Fairy chairs, they whisper, and indeed, that's what they seem to be, seats awaiting tiny queens and kings from some unseen world. The thrones nestly among daisies, marigolds, and low moss, making even the simplest flower bed feel enchanted. The process is surprisingly simple. Start by cleaning the tire thoroughly, scrubbing away dirt and oil until the rubber is smooth. A layer of primer helps the paint cling. Choose bright or pastel shades that shine in daylight. Lavender, yellow, mint, or sky blue work beautifully. Drill 2 holes on each side and fix wooden armrests with sturdy screws. If you wish, cushion the inside with fabric scraps or old seat pads, giving the throne a comfortable heart. Placed along a path or beside a fairy house, these chairs feel like storybook treasures. At night, a solar lantern nearby casts soft light over them, and the tire's painted curves glow faintly in the dark. Neighbors pause at the fence, curious about the tiny thrones. Some smile, others ask, "How did you make that?" And that is the gift of this project. Not only its charm, but the way it invites conversation, connection, and imagination. A simple tire, reborn as a fairy throne, has turned a backyard into a stage for wonder. In the heart of the garden, a circle of stones whispers of old legends. The fairy ring is simple, yet enchanting, a ring of smooth rocks gathered by hand, laid gently on the earth. Some are pale gray, others speckled with earthy browns, each shaped by time. When arranged into a perfect loop, they create a boundary that feels almost magical, as though it guards a secret world just beneath the flowers. The making is easy, but it carries meaning. Start by choosing a place in the yard where the grass grows strong or the soil is soft. Gather stones of similar size, though a few irregular shapes will give the ring its natural charm. Press them gently into the ground, one beside the other, until the circle closes. Leave just enough space inside for flowers, moss, or even a miniature fairy house. Within the circle, plant something that feels alive with color, lavender that hums with bees, daisies that sway with the breeze, or a patch of clover that stays green and low. For those who wish to lean into the magic, scatter a few mushroom ornaments, or let nature surprise you with real fungi after the rain. As evening comes, the stones catch the fading light, glowing softly against the soil. Children and adults alike pause, gazing into the circle. Some see only stones, but others, perhaps those who still dream, see the edge of another world, a doorway for fairies to step into the garden. Neighbors may try their own, and that is the beauty of it. No two rings will ever be the same. Each stone holds its own history, each circle its own story. A garden full of fairy rings feels like a map of hidden places where imagination can wander freely. A simple circle of stones, recycled from the earth itself, has become more than decoration. It is an invitation to wonder, to believe, and to remember that even in the smallest backyard, magic can still be found. When the sun dips below the horizon, the garden comes alive in a quiet, glowing rhythm. Along the path, bottles that once held soda or water now shine like little lanterns, forming a border that feels both playful and enchanting. This is the beauty of glowing bottle borders, trash turned into treasure, light woven into the edges of a simple garden. The process begins with a collection of bottles, glass or plastic, all washed clean and stripped of their labels. Some are painted with acrylics in pastel pinks, sky blues, and sunflower yellows. Others are left clear, catching the light in their own gentle way. A small hole cut into the base makes room for solar fairy lights or tiny LED tea lamps. Once lit, each bottle becomes its own glowing gem. Creating the border is simple. Dig a shallow trench along the edge of a path or flower bed, and place each bottle halfway into the soil, upside down for stability. Press the earth firm around the base, spacing them closely so the light creates a continuous ribbon. By day, the colors sparkle in the sun. By night, they glow softly, guiding footsteps and catching the eye of anyone who wanders through. In one corner, marigolds bloom with golden heads, their petals catching the glow from a row of green-painted bottles. Lavender sways nearby, its fragrance mingling with the warmth of evening air. The bottles cast delicate shadows, as though fairies themselves had set lanterns to guard the flowers. It is a border that costs almost nothing, yet feels priceless. Neighbors will pause, wondering how something so ordinary could feel so magical. Children might line up to watch the lights flicker on, and guests will remember the charm of a garden that glows after dark. From what was once trash, the garden now holds a story of light, color, and second chances, a reminder that even the simplest objects, when given care, can shine again. Few things brighten a garden like color, and nothing holds color quite like a row of rainbow-painted tires. What was once dull rubber, worn down from the road, now bursts into life, framing blossoms and vegetables with shades so bright they almost hum. A tire painted red blooms with marigolds. Beside it, a yellow tire holds a cascade of daisies. Violet and blue frames lift petunias into view, while green and orange planters overflow with herbs and lettuce. The process begins with cleaning, scrubbing away the dust and oil until the rubber is bare. A coat of primer helps the paint cling. Then comes the fun part, splashing on rainbow shades, one tire at a time. Acrylic outdoor paint works best, sealing the surface against weather and adding a brightness that lasts through the seasons. Once dry, fill the tires with rich soil, leaving enough room for roots to grow deep. Tires can sit directly on the ground, stacked too high for depth, or arranged in tiers like a pyramid for variety. For those who dream of abundance, plant vegetables, tomatoes trailing down, lettuce heads crisp and green, basil and mint releasing fragrance in the warmth. For those who crave beauty, fill them with flowers, pansies, sunflowers, or even wild mixes that change with each season. In the afternoon sun, the tires glow like jewels, each one framing life that spills outward. Children love to point at their favorite colors, sometimes even choosing which seeds to plant inside. Guests smile at the playfulness, charmed that something as heavy and forgotten as a tire could hold so much joy. Beyond the beauty lies a quiet practicality. Tires are sturdy, weatherproof, and endlessly reusable. They resist rot, they frame soil, and they lift plants closer to the light. What once was trash now holds growth, color, and laughter. Rainbow tire planters prove that even the humblest material can bring joy. With every bloom, every harvest, they remind us that gardens are not only about plants, but about the colors and stories we weave into them. There is something timeless about walking on stones, and even more when those stones tell a story. Pebble mosaic pathways bring art into the garden underfoot, each step tracing patterns of flowers, spirals, and stars carefully arranged from the simplest of materials, small stones gathered from rivers, beaches, or garden stores. What was once just a pile of pebbles becomes a living canvas, blending function and beauty. The process begins with a vision. Do you want a border of gentle swirls? A row of floral shapes? Or perhaps a playful mix of colors that dance in the sunlight? Once the idea is clear, prepare the ground, flatten the soil, or pour a thin layer of concrete where the stones will sit. Then, one by one, press each pebble into place, their smooth surfaces fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. White stones form petals, dark ones the outline, and earthy browns fill the spaces in between. For a sturdier design, mix sand and cement to lock the stones in. For a more natural look, set them into soil and let moss creep between the gaps over time. Either way, the effect is charming, a pathway that feels crafted by hand yet alive with nature. As you walk along the mosaic, flowers bloom not only at the sides but beneath your feet. Tulips lean toward the light, daisies brush your ankles, and the stones shine faintly when dew settles in the morning. At night, lanterns throw shadows across the patterns, making them glow like ancient runes. Neighbors may pause, bending down to trace the designs with their fingers, surprised that pebbles could form such art. Children might hop from star to spiral, turning the path into a game. And for the gardener, every glance downward is a quiet joy, proof that creativity can live even in the smallest details. Pebble mosaic pathways are more than decoration. They are reminders that beauty lies not only above us in blooms and branches, but also beneath our steps, where care and imagination meet. In the far corner of the garden, something unexpected rises tall, a flower that never wilts, crafted from bottles once tossed aside. These are the bottle flower totems, cheerful towers of color and shape, born from simple hands and a little imagination. Standing like sentinels, they catch the sun and turn waste into wonder. The process begins with gathering bottles of various sizes, soda, juice, or even water containers. Each one is cut carefully into petals, the plastic softened with warm water, then trimmed into curved shapes. Paint brushes bring them to life, layering bright shades of red, yellow, and blue, or soft pastels for those who prefer a gentler tone. The bottles are then stacked over a central wooden or metal pole, each layer forming a bloom larger than life. Placed along a pathway or tucked into a flower bed, the totems stand tall, blending with the living garden. At a glance, they almost look like real flowers, but sturdier, brighter, and impossibly perfect. When the breeze moves through, the plastic petals shimmer faintly, as though greeting the passing air. By day, they are beacons of color. By night, small solar lights tucked inside the bottles turn them into glowing blossoms, lighting the path for anyone wandering after dark. Children see them as fairy towers, imagining tiny creatures living among the petals. Adults smile at the creativity, surprised that something as ordinary as a bottle could rise into something so striking. What makes bottle flower totems special is not just their beauty, but their resilience. They withstand rain, wind, and sun, standing season after season without fading. Unlike fragile blooms, they remain constant companions to the ever-changing life of the garden. Neighbors may pause at the fence, asking how they were made. And in that moment, the story of transformation is told, that even trash can bloom, that beauty can be shaped with nothing more than imagination and a little time. Bottle flower totems remind us that the garden is not just a place for plants, it is a place for dreams, where color can last forever. When the sun fades and the air cools, the garden begins to hum with its quiet evening magic. And there, resting among the flowers, are stones that glow. Not ordinary stones, but enchanted rock lanterns, simple rocks reborn into vessels of light, transforming the night into something soft and welcoming. The idea is rooted in simplicity. Large, smooth stones, the kind often found in rivers or garden centers, are chosen for their weight and strength. With a drill and chisel, a small hollow is carved into each, just wide enough to hold a solar tea light or a small LED lamp. When the light flickers on, it spills gently through the opening, casting golden arcs across petals and moss. Placed along a border, the lanterns mark the garden's edges like tiny guardians. In a fairy garden, they feel like beacons for unseen travelers, lighting secret paths at dusk. During the day, they blend seamlessly into the landscape, their natural gray and brown surfaces steady and unassuming. But come evening, they awaken, turning from stone into star. Creating them is a practice in patience. The drilling takes care, the carving a steady hand. Yet the effort is worth it, for these lanterns are nearly eternal. Unlike fragile glass or flimsy plastic, stone endures, resisting weather, holding light season after season. Imagine a row of them lining a pebble pathway, each one glowing like a warm heart. Lavender sways in the breeze nearby, marigolds tilt toward the fading sun, and the stones themselves seem alive, humming with warmth. Children crouch to peer inside, convinced there must be fairies hiding within. Guests smile, drawn by the quiet elegance of light woven into earth. Enchanted rock lanterns are more than decoration. They are symbols of transformation, proof that even something as solid and ordinary as stone can carry light. They invite stillness, reflection, and wonder, reminding us that beauty doesn't always need to shout. Sometimes, it glows softly in the garden, waiting for the night. In the garden where flowers bloom and shadows drift, creatures rise from forgotten rubber. Tires, once worn thin on endless roads, now take on playful new shapes. Turtles resting by ponds, snails crawling across lawns, even dragons hiding among the roses. These recycled tire creatures bring stories into the garden, transforming waste into wonder. The process begins with vision. A turtle, for example, needs only 2 tires, one cut into a dome for the shell, the other sliced to form legs and head. Paint turns the black rubber into shades of green and gold, giving the creature life. For a snail, a single tire spirals into a shell, painted with swirls of rainbow colors, its body stretched with painted wooden pieces. And for the bold gardener, dragons can be born from multiple tires layered into wings, tails, and jaws, painted emerald and scarlet to spark imagination. What makes these creatures magical is not only their look, but their resilience. Tires are heavy and weatherproof. They do not rot, nor do they fade quickly in the sun. Once planted firmly in the soil, they become permanent companions, lasting year after year through rain and frost. Children often run to them first, patting the turtle's shell or pretending to ride the dragon's back. Adults smile at the humor, some shaking their heads in disbelief that old rubber could become such characters. At night, with a lantern nearby, the creatures cast curious shadows, looking alive in the garden's half-light. DIY steps are straightforward. Cut the tire with a sharp utility knife or jigsaw. Arrange the pieces into the desired shape, securing them with bolts or sturdy screws. Add paint, bright colors for playfulness, natural tones for realism. Finally, place them where flowers and grass can frame their forms. Recycled tire creatures are more than decoration. They are a reminder that imagination can turn the toughest materials into joy. In a garden alive with color, these creatures stand as proof that even the heaviest trash can carry lightness, laughter, and life. When the wind stirs the garden, the fence begins to sing, not with sound, but with color and light. Hanging bottles, once forgotten in bins, now sway like jewels in the air, forming a curtain that dances between the garden and the sky. This is the bottle curtain fence, a creation that turns trash into art, privacy into beauty. The making is simple, yet filled with care. Gather bottles, plastic or glass, each one cleaned and stripped of its labels. Some remain clear to catch the sun, while others are painted in cheerful shades of pink, blue, or green. With scissors or a knife, the bottles are cut into rings, flowers, or geometric shapes. Holes are drilled at the top, and strong cords or wires thread them together. Piece by piece, they form long strings, like beaded necklaces, which are then tied along the top of a wooden or metal fence. In the morning, dew clings to the bottles, scattering light across the grass. By midday, the sun shines through them, painting the fence in shifting colors. At night, a small lantern or solar light nearby makes them glow faintly, as if stars had settled into the garden. Children laugh as the curtain sways, touching the bottles to watch them swing. Guests pause, surprised that ordinary waste could create such spectacle, and neighbors may peek over the fence, curious about the shifting glimmers they see. What makes the bottle curtain fence special is its blend of function and magic. It provides a playful layer of privacy, softening the hard lines of a wooden wall. It welcomes breezes while filtering harsh light. And most of all, it proves that beauty can be found in the most ordinary of objects. With each bottle strung, the garden tells a new story of resourcefulness, of imagination, and of a world where even trash can sparkle in the sun. Tucked between flowers and shaded by leaves, a tiny stone cottage waits, as though fairies might step out at any moment. Built from simple stones and imagination, these miniature homes bring storybook charm into the garden. They do not shout for attention, yet every passerby slows down, drawn into their quiet magic. The making begins with stones, pebbles, river rocks, or fragments collected over time. Each one is chosen for its shape, then pieced together like a puzzle. With a bit of mortar or outdoor adhesive, walls rise slowly, sturdy and strong. A small arch forms a doorway, perhaps framed with twigs or leftover wood. For the roof, moss makes a perfect cover, spreading soft green over the stones. Some add bark shingles, others plant creeping thyme that eventually blooms with tiny flowers. Placed at the base of marigolds or daisies, the cottages look as though they've always belonged there. Ivy can be trained to climb their walls, while miniature windows made from glass shards catch the sun. A clay pipe turns into a chimney, and if a solar tea light is hidden inside, the windows glow gently at night. Children crouch down to peek inside, whispering about fairies or tiny travelers who might live within. Adults smile, charmed by the sense of nostalgia these little homes stir. They are not just garden ornaments. They are invitations to imagine, to believe, to see the ordinary transformed. Practical as they are magical, these stone cottages endure through rain, wind, and snow. Unlike plastic decorations, they do not fade or crack easily. Over time, they grow more beautiful, weathering into the landscape, softened by moss and time. Neighbors may ask where you bought them, and the joy lies in saying, "I made them." Because that is the heart of this DIY, crafting a home for dreams from what nature already offers. Many fairy stone cottages remind us that gardens are not only for plants. They are also for stories, for the unseen, the playful, the magical. And in the quiet hours of evening, when shadows lengthen, these little houses seem almost alive. In the playful heart of the garden, where imagination lingers, mushrooms rise, not from soil, but from old tires given new life. Their caps are painted red with white spots, or pastel shades that glow in sunlight, turning the border into a fairy tale scene. These are the upcycled tire mushrooms, joyful sculptures that invite smiles and wonder. The making is both simple and sturdy. One tire forms the cap, turned upside down and trimmed if needed for size. A smaller tire or thick wooden post becomes the stem, painted white or beige for a natural look. With bolts or outdoor screws, the cap is secured firmly on top. Then comes the painting, the most delightful step. Bright red with polka dots creates a classic fairy mushroom, while soft yellows, blues, or purples make them feel dreamlike and unique. For added magic, some gardeners hide small solar lamps beneath the cap, so the mushrooms glow softly at dusk. Placed at the edge of a flower bed, they look as though they sprouted overnight. Surrounded by daisies, marigolds, or moss, they turn an ordinary patch of earth into a scene from a storybook. Children rush to them, circling the mushrooms in games of pretend. Adults pause, surprised at the whimsy something so heavy and forgotten could bring. The beauty lies in their durability. Tires withstand rain, sun, and frost without losing form. Unlike fragile ornaments, these mushrooms endure, growing older with the garden and gaining charm with every season. Over time, moss may creep onto their bases, making them blend even more naturally with the earth. Neighbors may ask where such playful decorations were found, and the joy is in saying, from an old tire. What once rolled along roads, worn and discarded, now stands proudly in the garden, reborn as a beacon of cheer. Upcycled tire mushrooms remind us that not all beauty is fleeting. Some of it can be shaped, painted, and planted firmly into the soil, lasting year after year, like laughter rooted in the heart of a garden. As twilight settles and the garden hushes into evening, light begins to twinkle in the branches and along the fences. Bottles that once held water, soda, or wine now shine with a second life, transformed into lanterns that sway in the breeze. These are the hanging bottle fairy lights, simple, recycled treasures that turn night into magic. The process begins with the bottles themselves. Glass bottles create the most brilliant glow, while plastic offers playful color when painted. Each bottle is cleaned and dried, then carefully fitted with solar-powered fairy lights or small LED strings. Holes can be drilled near the top to loop wire or sturdy cord, and soon, the bottles are ready to hang. They can be suspended from pergolas, tree branches, or even stretched wires between posts. When day turns to dusk, the hidden lights flicker on, scattering warm golden patterns across the flowers below. In a fairy garden corner, they feel like lanterns left by unseen hands, lighting paths only imagination can follow. By day, the bottles shimmer in the sunlight, their colors bright against the green. By night, they glow softly, turning the garden into a stage where shadows dance. Children often point to them in delight, convinced fairies must be near. Adults linger a little longer outdoors, drawn by the charm of a backyard that feels like a festival each evening. The beauty of this DIY lies in its accessibility. Anyone can create it, using what they already have, spending almost nothing, yet achieving results that rival store-bought decor. And because they rely on solar lights, they are as practical as they are enchanting, glowing each night without wires or waste. Neighbors may pause, curious about the lights floating in bottles. Some will ask for instructions, others will simply smile at the sight. And in those moments, the garden feels like more than a yard. It feels like a shared dream. Hanging bottle fairy lights remind us that light doesn't have to be grand to be beautiful. Even the smallest glow, born from something once thrown away, can turn a dark night into a moment of wonder.